Xin Sheng spent many years of his life strategically conquering the world, and now his empire has grown to encompass the world as a whole. The world is now flourishing, and tens of thousands of people have submitted themselves to him. He is now known and praised as the Demon King. However, rumors have it that there is a power in the realm of the demons, which is called the mystery of all lives. Once you get this power, you will rule forever. As a result, he leaves his land, and he goes to the demon realm. Before leaving, he tasks one of his subordinates with the power of guarding the land in his absence, and they all bow in reference to him. He goes for the power, and after several difficult trials in the demon realm, he obtains the power. After he obtains the mystery of life, he sets out to bid the awful demon realm goodbye. Unfortunately, as a result of gaining that power, his body became that of a child. He actually doesn't know about this consequence, and when he tries to leave the demon realm, he realizes that he looks like a human child. He is angry because that is not what he wants at all. He wonders what will happen to the empire he has left behind. He walks into the empire in his new shape, and he sees that his great empire has turned into a food market. The men around see him, and they assume he is lost because he looks lost. One of them goes to touch his head, telling him that he is at the ruins of a 1,000-year-old empire, and that place isn't a playground. They assume that he is there to explore and find some treasure and tell him that they aren't going to let that kind of behavior fly. He is angry because they had the audacity to touch him like that. He uses his all-knowing eye skill. The all-knowing eye skill is a skill that only those of royal blood possess, and the skill gives a person the power to know everything about someone with a single glance. It is a convenient ability that allows the user to know people's weaknesses and strengths. He sees the lady's weakness, and he threatens that she will pay the price for such audacity. He sniffles and tells her not to bully him. His sniffle gets them distracted, and he sneaks away. Without trouble, he gets away and he walks further. He stops on his way because he hears something important. He recalls that the lady had told him that he is at the ruins of a 1,000-year-old empire. He wonders what that means and how his empire became ruins without him receiving any communication through the telepathic mark. He wonders what could have happened to everyone in his empire, and the mere thought of what could have happened gets his stomach in knots. Suddenly, he sees a young girl running to him, and she screams that he should get away. She runs as fast as she can, saying that she has to inform everyone about something important. He assumes that she is also charging at him. He is tired of the disrespect he is facing in his own kingdom, and he wants to push through with his all-knowing eye again. Fortunately, another advantage of the all-knowing eye ability is that it can allow him to predict the path another person will take and allow him to evade the path in peace. Trying to evade the young girl, he feels like as long as he shifts to the side gently, he will be fine. To his utmost dismay, his prediction turns out wrong. He gets his move wrong, and instead of evading the young girl, she falls on his face with her chest all over his face. The tendency of her strength, the consistency at which she is running with, and the weight falls all over him, and he assumes he is dead. He wonders why he collided with her chest of all places and wonders why his eyes had deceived him. The lady gets her composure, and she bends to apologize to him. She asks him if he is okay and tells him it is her fault and she didn't see him there. He takes her statement as an insult, and he wishes to fight back and ask her if she is insulting his height, and if she has no respect for her superiors. He intends to yell at her, but she is so cute. She has a very warm touch, and her strength has a strange warmth to it. He wonders if what he is feeling is part of the mystery of life that he has acquired. Just as the young lady, Yang Yuchong, stands in front of him, two of her acquaintances call her and ask her what she is doing there. They accuse her of being so weak to cute little boys, and she tries to convince them that it isn't like that and that kind of thing isn't good. She tells them the report she had been running to deliver and tells them that she heard someone has already reached the deepest part of the ruins and the person may steal the royal treasure. The other girls also know that is not a good development, so they ask her what she intends to do. She tells them that they must protect the dignity of their king and reminds them they are the last survivor of the king's empire. Xin Sheng looks at the weak three girls, and he realizes it's no wonder that his empire is destroyed. The girls can't even protect themselves, let alone a whole empire. Yang Yuchong takes them to a bar to sit and discuss. She takes Xin Sheng along with her, and she tells him that the market was built on the ruins of an ancient empire. As a result, a lot of treasure hunters and merchants come there in search of lots. He sees an unfamiliar object, and he asks her what it is. She is shocked that he doesn't recognize an ordinary vehicle, and she asks him if he hasn't seen one before. He points to a tablet in the hands of one of the ladies, asking her what it is, so she tells him it is a tablet that is used to chat with others from far away, and also used for different amazing stuff. She tells him the tablet can also be used to keep pictures and videos of amazing and cute boys like him. He also sees them wearing unfamiliar wear. He asks her what the wear is, and again she narrates to him that it is a woman's combat armor. He realizes that he is unfamiliar with a lot of things in society. It concludes that society has gone a long way since his absence and wonders if that is what they call their power of technology. Originally in that world, some people had special powers that are obtained from the demon realm. As a matter of fact, if someone wants to gain power, he has to obtain it from the demon realm. However, it is impossible to communicate between realms. It is impossible to predict when a person can come out immediately after the person enters the portal, since both the entrance of the portal and the exit of it are constantly moving. It is possible that a person would exit from the demon realm while sleeping, and sometimes you can even open the portal yourself. It is because of the instability of transportation into and outside of the demon world that made people not to rely on the demon world power of technology. Unfortunately for him, things have changed a lot. He doesn't know much about this new world. His position and knowledge as the ancient emperor and demon king are currently useless, and he has to be careful so he wouldn't draw unnecessary attention to himself. He decides that he will keep out of sight. Yang Yuchong's friend wonders why she is taking Xin Sheng along with them. She asks Yang Yuchong if she has actually asked Xin Sheng what he wants and what he is looking for in the ruins. However, the reason Yang Yuchong had wanted to take him is that she felt concerned for him. She says that if they leave him at the ruins, he will only be taken advantage of, and he could even be sold into slavery. She runs to Xin Sheng and tells him that she is there to protect him and that he doesn't have to care about her rank. He actually doesn't know anything about ranks in that city. He asks her what she means by rank, and she explains to him that in their world, a person's strength is measured on a scale of 1-100, but precise measurement is difficult, so they rank them as God, insane, strong, or common to roughly estimate the ranks between them. Xin Sheng knows he was originally measured by a judge, but with his all-knowing eye, as long as he knows the rules, there is nothing that can be hidden in his sight. He uses his all-knowing eye to check Yang Yuchong's rank because he assumes it will be rude for him to ask her what her rank is. He sees that she is in the common rank. Her friend, Shuya 2, who is a fox, is about level 36, and her rank is strong. They warn him about Shuya 2, telling him that Shuya 2 likes little boys, so he should be careful. While the last girl, Wuli, is a dragon. Her level is about 76, and she is in the insane rank. Yang Yuchong tells him that although Wuli may look harsh, but she always looks like that, so he shouldn't take it to heart. Just as Yang Yuchong has warned, Shuya 2 begs Yang Yuchong to give Xin Sheng to her. She claims she will take responsibility for him, and she will take care of him very well. Yang Yuchong gets angry at her and threatens to beat her up. On the other hand, Wuli doesn't care about Xin Sheng at all. She tells them Xin Sheng will end up being a responsibility to them and they should dispose of him before it is too late. Yang Yuchong begs her that she will take the time to take him to somewhere safe so Wuli doesn't have to worry about him for now. That sounds a little reassuring to Wuli, who keeps insisting that Xin Sheng should better not cause them any problems. Xin Sheng gets pissed at Wuli's nonchalant attitude. He claims that the rank assessment system only measures strength, and as a result, the society seems to only value personal strength. That gives him another concern because Yang Yuchong is only level 8, and she is in a common rank. So why is she the one that is leading the group? Shuya 2 goes to meet him. She asks him what his name is and where he is from. As he is about to introduce himself, they get distracted by the arrival of a man. The man is the guy with the clock, and seeing him means they can now start their mission. The man is the one that is planning to steal from the temple's ruins, and Wuli immediately gets into action by summoning her knife. They had made a stakeout plan to get him out, and it seems their stakeout plan worked. She wonders if the man has lowered his guards for the treasure hunt. Shuya 2 also gets to action immediately. She tells Xin Sheng that they have an important mission to deal with, so he should wait there for them, and they will be back soon. She tells him that she doesn't want him to get hurt, which is why she isn't taking him along. He also agrees to wait for them at the bar. Before leaving, they promise that if they meet him where they left him, they will give him yummy food. While looking at them, he promises himself that he will no longer leave them to suffer because of him. He says that he knows the burden of protecting the ancient empire isn't theirs to be bare, and he will protect his empire. He promises that he will move past the ancient empire, and he would build a new one. They tail the guy towards the road they thought he had passed through, but to their shock, they can't find him. Wuli wonders if the team had actually come very prepared, which can be the only explanation as to why there isn't any trace of them. Yang Yuchong also sees that there is a strange meeting inside the ruins temple. She asks her colleagues if they have an idea of what is going on there and wonders if there are traps inside it. Shuya too cheers them on to continue the mission. In her opinion, if they keep hesitating, the king's treasure will be stolen. They realize that Xin Sheng is still following them, and they assume he is following them to eavesdrop on their conversation. They chase him away, telling him it is very bad for a boy to eavesdrop on a serious conversation. Their countenance towards him changes from the way they were a few minutes ago, and he thinks of the possibility that the people of the New World pick on people whenever they disagree or when they are angry. He stops himself to think. He figures the girls are using their larger group to take advantage of him, and they dare to torment him. Yang Yuchong walks to him and reminds him that she had warned him not to follow them. She asks him why he didn't listen to the instruction, and Wu Li tells them he was meant to follow them in the first place. Shuya too threatens him that if he doesn't go back immediately, she will eat him up. He is tired of the way they are maltreating him, and he decides that the girls need discipline. He tries to resist all their words and force, but it seems to him that his body isn't ready to understand what his mind is saying. As they keep pushing him away, Yang Yuchong calls their attention to another thing. Wu Li asks her if she thinks it's an ambush, but she claims it is a diversion because it is a phantom blade and it is a technique of Mahjong Dao. Shuya too forges ahead, reminding her friends that they can't delay any further. She turns to Xin Sheng, telling him that he doesn't have to follow them and that the fight is their fight. He notices her expression has changed. He sees the temple they are about to enter, and he recognizes the temple. On the other hand, inside the building, the strange man finds Xin Sheng's scepter. Before he takes it, another person enters the building and refuses to let him have it. She says the scepter is the one the emperor used to maintain dominion over the entire empire, and he should drop it. The lady also wants to take it, but before she does so, the girls arrive. They scream at the man that the scepter he wants to take isn't something a person like him can have a sneak peek at. The lady turns, and she immediately recognizes the group of girls. She acknowledges that the group isn't something you see on a normal day. She asks if they aren't the self-proclaimed empire survivors, and she turns to fight them. She tells them the conversation is pointless and they should go to hell. As she turns to attack Yang Yuchong, Shuya too stops her. She saves Yang Yuchong, and they appreciate her for the save. She actually has a special spirit ability, and with that, they don't have to worry about pointless things like phantom blades. The lady gets angry and releases an unfamiliar object at them. They don't know what the object is, nor do they know how to tackle it. The lady leaves them to deal with the object as she goes to take Xin Sheng's scepter. The tentacles she has sent at them are so strong that it is blocking their spirit ability. The lady successfully takes the power, and she raises it up, telling them that with the scepter in her hand, no one can stop her. She says that, as for them, she will use their blood as the sign of the beginning of her own empire. Shuya too keeps struggling with the tentacles. She needs to find an opening that will be best for them to survive. Suddenly, Xin Sheng enters. He tells them to stop making noises, and he goes to touch the scepter, telling the lady that she should take the toy away. The others look at him, wondering where he has gotten that power and what on earth he is actually doing. The lady screams at him. She calls him a weird kid and asks him where he has come from. She tries to attack him and screams that he should die. Xin Sheng releases the girls from the tentacles that the strange lady had used to hold them. All the girls fall. The lady wonders why the scepter is no longer working, and she realizes that the power of the scepter is gone. She can't understand how that has happened. She forges at Xin Sheng. She tells him that she had waited for 3 years so she could get the scepter, and she won't allow a little boy to waste all her efforts. She begs him not to stop her, and if he remains in her way, she will kill him. She stabs him with her knife, but he looks at her without any injury. The girls, especially Wu Li, assume that the lady has killed Xin Sheng. Wu Li screams at the lady, telling her that she didn't expect that she will kill an innocent person. The lady refuses to take responsibility for what she has done. She claims the boy was asking to die, and they can't blame her for killing him. She is shocked by her bone marrow when she realizes that Xin Sheng didn't even sustain an injury, let alone die. Xin Sheng looks at her ridiculously and tells her the situation reminds him of when he was just made an emperor. Back then, there were some people who were always dissident, and they thought they could assassinate him. The young lady sees that he isn't injured, and he is also looking at her with irritation. She wonders how he could make such a face in that near-death situation. She threatens that she will attack him for the second time, and he can be sure that he won't escape at that time. He looks at her and tells her she isn't too bad of an assassin because normally, a person would die within 8 seconds of being stabbed in the heart, and decapitation will also take about 3 seconds. So within 100 years of his absence, killing methods have also become more easy. He tells her he has to thank her for helping him increase his knowledge about his new environment. The young lady gets terrified, falls down, and she complains that Xin Sheng is not human. She asks him who he is, and for the first time, Xin Sheng introduces himself to her. He tells her he is Xin Sheng, the only and the first emperor. He asks her if she knows her crimes, but she actually doesn't believe he is the emperor. She starts laughing. She tells him there is no way he can be the emperor. Even the other girls do not understand. Wooly says she heard the emperor didn't die, and if he didn't die, why is he in the form of a young child? Yang Yuchang immediately believes he is the emperor. She says he is their true thing, and her ancestors had a bond with the emperor, so she will fight by his side till the end. She starts having strange feelings, which confirms her suspicion that he is indeed their emperor. The strange lady doesn't believe he is the emperor, however, which her attack against him. She sure knows he is an unkillable monster. She refuses to die in the hand of a strange unkillable monster, so she tries to crawl away. Wooly tells her she doesn't have to die at the emperor's hands because Wooly wouldn't allow the emperor to soil his hands with the death of a filthy person like her. So Wooly offers to kill the lady herself. Yang Yuchang immediately changes form. She is actually a level 48 warrior, and she is of the insane class. She jumps to fight the girl, who still threatens that they wouldn't dare to kill her. Yang Yuchang kills the girl, and after she finishes, she feels a strange spiritual energy inside of her. She confirms that she now has spiritual energy and she can feel it. Xin Sheng reveals that thousands of years ago, he formed a bond of kinship with the Chong family. And that is the reason Yang Yuchang had awakened her ability. But she still has the potential to grow more than that. Even though she has the potential, going from level 8 to level 48 is an insane growth, and he acknowledges that her rank rose within a very short period of time. Yang Yuchang immediately starts crying. She tells Xin Sheng that they are his subordinate and they are there to welcome him home. She calls him her emperor, and she cries. She tells him the Chong family has been waiting 1,000 years for him to return. She runs to hug him and tells him that she wishes to fight for him even if her life is at stake and if it will cost her life. He feels a little weird about her hug because she is pressing him with her chest. Wooly confesses that she is having trouble believing Xin Sheng is the emperor. She goes to hold the scepter and asks him if the scepter is really his own. However, he tells her that contrary to the stories and myths they have heard, the scepter doesn't belong to him. It was made by a restless person who crafted it with the sole intention of humiliating him. That place is his changing room, and it is the place he happened to find the 1,000 clothes of Fei Xiao Lao's son. Yang Yuchang is shocked about his revelation, so she asks him where his real throne is. He also thinks about where his throne is. He tells them there are only 3 men who are still alive, so he doesn't even know if there is a throne left for him. Yang Yuchang reassures him of her loyalty. She crosses her heart and tells him that under his direction, they will continue to serve him. He asks what she means about him directing them, and tells him the concept of directing is quite unbecoming of a leader. He tells them no good leader paints the world in their image and says their land has no need for a new ruler. He asks them to come with him so they can see what the future holds for him. They leave the building, and they go to take transportation. As they get to the railway, the attendant appreciates them for taking the Northern Alliance Railway, and she immediately starts the processing for 3 female tickets and 1 child ticket. The idea of being a child irritates Xin Sheng so much. The lady directs them to their seat in compartment number 4. They walk to their seat, and as the train is about to move, the attendant announces that the train is about to move and that every adult should watch out for their children. Again, the idea of being called a child irritates Xin Sheng. He says that to an observer, the girls must be feeling gallant. However, Yang Yuchang tells him it is not that way, and he is just overthinking it, and even if it is that way, it should be fine for them. Wooly tells Xin Sheng that he should try to spend as low as possible because their team is low on funds. She calls him His Highness, but he corrects her that he no longer holds the right to be contacted by that title. He tells her his empire is long gone, and the empire went away with the title that came with it. And at that point that he is, the best title he can give himself is the group leader of their mini-group. Meanwhile, some set of people inside the train calls the attention of the other passengers to the ruins. They see that the ruins are collapsing. Looking at the collapsing ruins, Xin Sheng feels bad. He never thought a day would come when he would single-handedly strip himself of his valued titles. He couldn't even think of such a situation, even if it was for a temporary period, let alone permanently. Shuya too is still interested in him. She calls him Little Shang and says he is growing bigger, but Yang Yuchang stops her. She tells Shuya too to stop calling the demon lord by his name, and she should also learn to use honorifics. She also begs Shuya too to stop staring at Xin Sheng's crotch. Wooly looks outside, and she sees the ruins are being destroyed. She wonders how Xin Sheng had destroyed the ruins from far away. Yang Yuchong assumes that Xin Sheng has lost his powers, so she asks him when he can get his powers back. However, he feels it doesn't matter if he tells them, so he tells them regardless. He reveals that the name of his power is perfect imitation, which means he can perfectly mimic anything within his reach. He imagines a slime, and he mimics it. The girls ask him if he doesn't know how weird his imagination is. Yang Yuchong recalls that he was stabbed some minutes ago. She figures it's because of Xin Sheng's perfect imitation that his shirt wasn't torn even when he was stabbed. She connects the dots and finds out that when Xin Sheng fell on the floor in front of that lady, he wasn't actually stabbed. Instead, he pretended to be stabbed. Xin Sheng is impressed by Yang Yuchong's fast thinking. He commends her and says her mind is quite powerful. He tells them that he can mimic anything, but in the end, he only feels so comfortable in his original form. However, the demon realm seems to have altered his default form to that of a little child, and he doesn't know why they did that to him. Wooly stops them from having that conversation. It is not the case that she actually doubts Xin Sheng's ability. Instead, she feels it is better for them to talk less about their personal information. The reason behind her is that she knows their world is far from peaceful, and as they all know, when the walls have ears. He understands her concerns, so he tells her she doesn't need to worry. He further explains to them that it is impossible for him to describe the full scope of his powers with just words. Moreover, the innocent Miss Outlaw merely happened to be passing by innocently. He reveals to them that there is someone hiding in their luggage racks. As they are about to get into action, the lady jumps down and threatens them that they should stand still. She brings out a knife and puts it on Xin Sheng's neck. She warns them that if they move, she will slit his neck. She tells them to drop their weapon if they don't want him dead. But Yang Yuchong says she wants to see the lady try. She asks the lady to drop her weapon if she doesn't want to die. The young lady assumes that Yang Yuchong is weak. She tells Yang Yuchong not to dare her and asks if they think she wouldn't kill Xin Sheng. Xin Sheng turns to the lady. He tells her it is okay and she doesn't need to get violent. He puts his neck by the knife and uses it to cut himself, but instead of the knife cutting him, his body swallows the knife. The young lady is shocked. She screams and asks about her knife, and he tells her she doesn't need to be concerned about the knife because he will return the knife to its rightful owner later. Yang Yuchong puts a sword on the lady's neck and asks Xin Sheng what they should do with her. The lady gets scared. She begs him and asks them what they want from her. Xin Sheng tells her that the knife she had used to threaten him has a trace of soil in it, which means it may not belong to her. He asks her what an outlaw like her is doing with such a knife. He claims he knows she is just a farmer's daughter who had run away from the house with just a knife. She tries to deny his accusation, but he brings out a poster where the post was made that an innocent and weak farmer's daughter has killed several soldiers. Her crimes include tax invasion, violent tax resistance, and severe steel art soldiers who are suspected of helping the young girl, Wang Ming, to revolt. The poster announces that anyone with information about the girl could get at least 500,000 yen as a reward. Looking at the paper, Xin Sheng assumes he has found a place that needs a new king. As a result of the knife tussle in that compartment, the train's emergency rings, and a warning sounds that there is a safety hazard detected. The soldiers on the train who are looking for Wang Ming immediately get into action, believing that she is the one causing violence on the train. They move over to compartment 4. And before they get there, Xin Sheng tells Wang Ming that they are coming for her. He tells them he can take care of the soldiers and the other people should just continue with what they are doing. They hold the girl at ransom, and when the police officers enter their compartment, they scream that nobody there should move, everyone should remain there. Xin Sheng speaks to one of the men. The soldiers recognize the lady as Wang Ming and say she is the one with the 500,000 yen bounty. The soldiers say the money is their own, and as long as they give Wang Ming's head to the mayor, they can take their money happily. Trying to figure out how that city works, Xin Sheng realizes money is a currency that grants a person's wishes, which is why the country's currency is called yuan. He is shocked that the currency remains the same and says that although 1,000 years has passed, the currency is still the same one he knows. He wonders what 500,000 yuan is worth in that era. He asks Wooly, who tells him that a typical soldier earns around 100,000 yuan per year, so that amount of money is really a fortune to the soldiers. One of the soldiers commands that everyone in the compartment should get out. He says that if they don't leave, he will arrest them with the criminals. His colleague tells him that he doesn't have to kill them, and if they arrest them together, they may just get double of their initial reward. Since Wooly has already told Xin Sheng that they are low on cash, he realizes that getting money in that world doesn't seem to be that difficult. He goes to Wang Ming and tells Wang Ming that Wang Ming's head belongs to him. His subordinates look at him and wonder what he is doing. Even the soldiers are shocked. He asks them why he should hand over the girl to them when he knows that if he slashes the girl just once, he will be 500,000 richer. The soldiers get annoyed. They are irritated that a little boy like Xin Sheng is so money conscious that he wants to steal food from their mouth. Angrily, they set out to attack Xin Sheng, and they shoot at him. As they do so, Xin Sheng holds Wang Ming. He uses his hands to take the bullet, and some of it reaches his neck, and he falls down. Yang Yuchong screams his name and asks him what is wrong. The soldiers assume that they have succeeded in killing Xin Sheng, so they go ahead to fight the others. Before they do anything, Wu Li gets angry and attacks them with magic. Yang Yuchong tells them their punishment for slaying their king is death and nothing more. Yang Yuchong summons a spirit, and Xu Yatu is shocked that Yang Yuchong can now summon the spirit she had absorbed before. However, Wu Li knows that the idea of shooting and fighting on the train isn't a good idea. In the same way, the alarm had revealed the knife issue. The alarm will report the issue happening in their compartment, and before they say, "Jack," they will find different soldiers in their compartment. They think of a solution to evade such attention, and Yang Yuchong suggests that they get off the train. That sounds like the only best option for them, but before they would get down, they had to punish the people who had attacked their master. Wu Li takes her sword and breaks the body of the train. She throws her people out with her, and Wang Ming, who has never been in such a risky situation before, assumes she will die. Wu Li holds her and throws her off to the bush. She floats and falls. Yang Yuchong reassures her that she won't die from the floating because they are spirit users. She runs to hold Xin Sheng, who is still lying lifeless. She assumes that he is dead, and she cries that she had failed to protect him and he should punish her heavily for her failure. Xin Sheng opens his eyes. He tells Yang Yuchong he is alright, and it is not her fault. He concentrates on Wang Ming and tells her he knows she has a hideout she is probably trying to get to. He asks her if it is okay for her to take them along with her. She doesn't know the reason they want to get themselves unequally yoked with her issue. He tells her they are now on the same side, and they have also killed soldiers from the city. Also, they have powers to protect her, so it is a plus for her if she takes them along. Xin Sheng is still bleeding, and it looks as if he is about to die. Yang Yuchong can't bear to let him die. She screams and begs him that her family has waited for him at the old capital for millennia because they believe he will come back one day. And now that he is back, she doesn't want to lose him again. However, Wang Ming tells them that with the amount of blood Xin Sheng has lost, he is a goner. However, she doesn't know the reason why he had blocked the bullet for her when he also said he wanted her head. She calls him an idiot because of what he has done for her. She tells him she can allow the girls to follow her. She promises him that she will take them to safety, and he doesn't have to worry. He appreciates her and stands up so they can go. She is shocked that he is still alive after what he has experienced, and she screams. She had assumed that he was dead, and she screams that he had tricked her. He apologizes to her and says he had accidentally used perfect imitation too seriously. He says he didn't know he could even trick those that had knowledge of his ability and asks if that is what it means for a person to be loved by millions of people. Wu Li admits that the moment he took the bullet looked too real, and it wasn't their fault that they believed. Xu Yitu also says that she was tricked by his act. Yang Yuchong was the one who was most affected by the imitation. She calls him master and goes to jump at him. She holds him by his neck, saying that she is so glad that he is all ready. She starts suffocating him mistakenly, and he calls her to order. He asks her to leave his neck and asks if she wants to suffocate him to death. She looks very sad, and she begs him that he shouldn't use perfect imitation to fake his death again because the one he had just done looked too real, and she is really scared of losing him. He stops her from worrying. He tells her he is just trying to test his power, and it is not the case that he had a hobby in faking his own death. He asks her to stop being scared. He tells her to trust him more and says he is more omnipotent than she thinks. So she tells him that she will trust him more. Wang Ming gets uncomfortable with her master-servant discussion. She tells them she will be going on her way, and she starts walking away. Xin Sheng runs to catch up with her and tells her she has really nimble legs. She is shocked that he caught up with her so easily. She asks him when he got to her back, and he jokingly says he became a man flag. He reminds her of her promise to take them to a safe place and asks her not to break her promise. However, she doesn't see any need to trust him. She claims he is the one who lied to her first, and now he is expecting her to trust a liar. He refuses to admit that he is a liar. He claims he has never lied to her for any reason. All he told her was that he was fine and she should take them with her, and the two statements he told her were honest statements. She also recalls that his words were the same, and she realizes she is the one who had assumed that he was dead, so she has nothing to fight back with. Reluctantly, she accepts to take them along. She takes them to her mother, and she explains that they are her friends and they are also victims of Claw's underlings from Gangi City. She tells them the woman is her mother and her surname is Lee, so they call her Mrs. Lee or Aunt Lee. They tell her it is a pleasure to meet her, while Wooly wonders if Lee wouldn't take it as an offense being called aunt when she looks so young. Lee, on the other hand, is so impressed that her young daughter has brought a man home. She says that is the first time Wang Ming has ever brought a man home. However, Wang Ming tries to tell her mother that Xin Sheng is just a kid and he can't be counted as a man, and the place they are in is just a shelter, and they can't call it home. Lee refuses all her excuses. She asks Wang Ming if she is trying to introduce Xin Sheng to her as her future husband and partner. Wang Ming screams and says no. Yang Yuchong realizes that Mrs. Lee is behaving too weirdly. She asks Wang Ming if her mother is alright and says it seems like is something wrong with Lee. Wang Ming reveals that her father passed away a little too early, and her mother has just discovered that she is becoming old, so she is in a haste to remarry. Xin Sheng goes to meet Lee. He introduces himself to her and tells her that he will be in her care. She tells him that as long as he is willing to marry her, taking care of him till eternity wouldn't be a worry for her. He complains that he is too young for her, but she tells him age is just a number and as long as there is love, age isn't a problem. However, he tells her that if he is to choose a partner, he is sure the condition will be really strict. She also tries to convince him as to how she will meet his conditions. She tells him that she is also skilled in acting. She also shows her acting skills, and the girls say that the competition of who is the best actor between Lee and Xin Sheng is so tight, and they don't know who will emerge as the winner. Yang Yuchong asks Wang Ming why she had rebelled against the city. She explains that the Gangi City doesn't keep to its words. Instead, it sends soldiers to threaten her, and they threaten to take her away from their home and farm. And also, the Gangi's lord wants her whole family dead. The Gangi's soldiers keep tailing them. They find a trace of their footsteps, and their boss asks them to conceal the entire forest from all kinds of sounds, and they should prepare to capture the criminal. Wang Ming explains that on the day the incident happened, the captain of Gangi's armed force, Zhang Baoan, suddenly arrived at her house with soldiers wanting to take her family and home by force. The family refuses to let them take away their land, and after the force sees that they are not cooperating, they bring out their gun and threaten to kill them. They aim their guns at them. Fortunately for them, the guardian of the land suddenly appears and knocks out all the soldiers. However, the city's captain, Zhang Baoan, escaped. After that incident, she was listed on the wanted list. Yang Yuchong doesn't know that there is a guardian in that world. She asks Wang Ming if things like that still exist, and Wang Ming says yes. She says that every generation of the people who lived there had always believed in the protection of the guardian. Her home is located at the front of the mountain, and if it weren't for the guardian, she actually wouldn't have dared to hide there. On the way to their home, in order to protect her mother, when she entered the mountain, she drew the attention of the pursuers, and the guardian didn't help her at all. As a result, she concludes that the guardian's protection range must be around the mountainside. Xin Sheng tries to think of the rationale behind her childish decision and asks her if she relied on the existence of a so-called god to protect her from harm, and tells her that there are some people that won't let her do as she wishes to do. Zhang Baoan figures that Xin Sheng has seen him. He comes out of his hiding and reveals that he had intended to ambush them, and it seems that plan won't work any longer. He says he will openly look at them and watch them beg for his mercy. Wang Ming gets angry. She asks why Zhang Baoan had come back to find her again and says it seems like he hasn't received enough punishment from the guardian. He laughs at her and asks her what she is calling the guardian. He brings out a spirit demon and asks her if that is what she is referring to. The so-called guardian comes out, and Wang Ming can't believe that the guardian is being controlled by Zhang Baoan. Zhang Baoan tells her that the superior had given him her guardian as his previous baby, and from that day, the demon spirit she relied on will surely obey him. He commands the demon spirit that he should go and show Wang Ming and her friend his powers. The girls go straight to fight. Shuya too realizes that the demon spirit doesn't have any physical power or strength, and all his skills are purely spiritual. She forges ahead to fight and commands the demon spirit to stop. Unfortunately, the demon spirit doesn't respond to her command. She realizes that his level is much more than her own. She falls back, and she falls to the hand of Wooly, who asks her if she is okay. Shuya too realizes that the spirit demon is a spiritual attack, and it is the kind of spiritual attack that will last forever. She tells them that it is a good thing that she was the one that was hit by it because people from the Spirit Fox clan like her will be fine after they get some rest. Wooly asks Xin Sheng if she should attack. He tells them there is no way they can handle that kind of spirit demon, so they should retreat and let him handle it. Mrs. Lee rests on Xin Sheng's head, telling him that she is so scared and she doesn't know who will protect her. He begs her that she needs to release her hands from his body so he can at least be able to protect them. So she removes his hands, but she doesn't want to take away her chest from his head. He begs her that she has to remove the one on his head too. Zhang Baowen gets jealous of the treatment Xin Sheng is getting. He calls Xin Sheng a shorty and asks how he is that confident. Before he knows it, Xin Sheng goes to his head. He asks him who is a shorty and says that it looks like Zhang Baowen's head is shorter than his own. Zhang Baowen wonders how he got to his back so fast and asks why Xin Sheng thinks he can go against him. He commands his spirit demon to go and kill Xin Sheng. Before the spirit demon gets to Xin Sheng calls him master and tells him to be careful. When the demon collides with Xin Sheng, it changes into a human figure and Xin Sheng touches her head. He recognizes him as her origin spirit. Everyone there wonders what could have gone wrong, and Zhang Baowen is so shocked because of what had happened. Xin Sheng further explains that origin spirits are not born from any living being. Instead, they have natural spiritual bodies that let them roam across the universe. They ignore all laws of physics and eat spirits as their food. They practically don't have any natural enemies. Origin spirits are only weak against one specific thing, which is a material that comes from the universe and doesn't change forms. The item is called the Cosmic Shard. He tells Zhang Baowen that the little mirror he has in his hand contains a piece of cosmic shard, which is the reason Zhang Baowen could control the origin spirit. Zhang Baowen can't believe his ears. He says the things Xin Sheng is saying are the treasure's secret, and they are not things a person can randomly guess about. He asks his origin spirit to attack Xin Sheng again, but the spirit looks at him without saying anything. Zhang Baowen gets angry and yells at her. He asks her what she is doing and if she is disobeying his order purposely. Xin Sheng sees that the origin spirit is confused. He says it is normal that she is confused, and it eases her confusion. He decides to release a little bit of his perfect imitation. He changes his face and asks her if she recognizes him. She immediately recognizes him as her master. He calls her and tells her to come. He touches her cheek, draws her closer, and kisses her. He swallows her, and the other people wonder what is going on. Zhang Baowen is so scared he asks Xin Sheng if he has just swallowed a demon spirit and asks Xin Sheng what exactly he is. However, Xin Sheng tells them he didn't swallow her. Instead, he is just returning her to a place she initially belongs to. She is his personal guard, Death Bird. She returns as Death Bird, and he welcomes her. He tells her that although 1,000 years have passed since he saw her last, but she still looks exactly the same. Deathbird is a level 99 high savage rank creature. Wooly feels everything that had happened to them couldn't be a coincidence. She asks Shuya too if it could be that the reason Xin Sheng had come to that place in the first place was because of the Deathbird. Xin Sheng replies in the affirmative. He says that after he had carefully calculated all the people who served him, he realized that the only one who wouldn't die even after 1,000 years is the Deathbird, and he feels she wouldn't leave the kingdom too far away. He explains that when Wang Ming used her knife to hold him hostage, the spiritual energy he used to connect with this that served him gave him a slight reaction, and so he knew that she had gotten in contact with the Death Bird recently. He saw a sign on her hand which made him convinced. Wang Ming is impressed that he has been planning something like that since, and he didn't tell them. She says her body had suddenly gotten goosebumps. He looks at the Death Bird, and he sees that she looks so uncomfortable. He asks her why she looks uncomfortable, and he feels it is because she was tricked by Zhang Baowen. He tells her that he was gone for too long and it was normal for her to think the cosmic shard Zhang Baowen was holding is him. Zhang Baowen refuses to accept defeat. He puts the mirror in his pocket and confronts Xin Sheng asking what he is feeling like, all because he has an origin spirit. He brings out his gun and says that as long as he kills Xin Sheng, he can get the demon spirit back under his control. He brags that the gun he had brought with him is a short-range guided gun, and the bullet will change his trajectory by avoiding all the obstacles until he is able to successfully hit his target. In fact, even if the gun stopped, there would still be a lot of poison inside it. The bullet is so strong that his force can easily penetrate armor. He screams at Xin Sheng that his little face is about to have a hole in it. However, as the bullet reaches Xin Sheng's front, it stops. Zhang Baowen refuses to believe what he is seeing. He claims it is impossible, and even if the poison inside the bullet isn't activated, it won't stop that way. On the other hand, Xin Sheng is amazed by the bullet. He touches it and comments that the bullet must be one of the most popular weapons of that era. He acknowledges that the speed of the gun is fast, but it is something he has seen before. The only issue is that the force of the bullet is a little bit weak. He returns the bullet to the sender, Zhang Bowen, and Zhang Bowen realizes that the person he is fighting against isn't his mate. He starts running, saying that if the bullet hits him, he will die. Instead of allowing the rude boy to go, Xin Sheng assigns the death bird to go after him. He tells her he will let her handle the matter as her revenge. The death bird goes nearer to Zhang Bowen, and with only one hit, the captain of the Gangi city dies. Xin Sheng walks closer to his corpse and comments that he is only that weak. However, the team doesn't know that there is someone watching them from another place. The woman looks at them and recognizes that the team contains a humanized dragon from the dragon tribe, a humanized beast from the beast tribe, a human which has been turned into a monster, and a normal-looking human. She says that the proceeding of things is getting interesting, and she will ensure they regret getting in her way. Wang Ming bows to Xin Sheng and asks him if he has any other plans. She has realized that he is not actually a weak person because not only was he able to fake his death, but he was also able to tame the guardian of the land, and she also didn't realize that he is that powerful, and she wonders if she is blind. He notices that she is giving him a special respect because she now knows he is strong. He goes to meet her and tells her to stand up. He tells her he is just a wanderer without any status, and he can't accept her kneeling. He tells Wang Ming and her mother they have already been chased out of their homeland, but Gangi City still wants their lives. He says that Baowen had also tried to take their life more than once, so he asks them if there are any special reasons the city is after them. Wang Ming says she doesn't know. She wonders if it is just in the city's lord nature to be that cruel because she was the one who ordered them to do that. Xin Sheng isn't convinced that a person could just want the death of another person without an excuse. He says it may be because there is a secret that they don't want them to leave. Do they plan to end their lives so they can feel at ease? He says he will go to check Wang Ming's house the following day to check what the problem could be. Wang Ming tells him she is alright with that. However, she tells him that she is afraid to go back home because there is at least a group of Gangi City soldiers surrounding her home. Xin Sheng is sure they will be fine. He asks the death bird if he can help them scare the soldiers away when it's time. The death bird nods in affirmation, and Wang Ming gets reassured. They all sleep at the shelter that evening. Wang Ming sleeps beside her mother while the others sleep on the floor. Xin Sheng goes outside and sits alone, looking at the moonlight. It has been a long time since he has seen the moonlight. When he was at the demon boundary, he couldn't even tell if it was daytime or even nighttime, so he missed the feeling of checking the sky. Shuya too comes to meet him. She tells him that she can't fall asleep, and she asks him what she can do. He tells her that her spirit was damaged by the death bird during the day, so she should be resting. She knows that, too. She claims the healing process of the injury is too long and painful, and she doesn't think she can stand it anymore. She goes nearer to him and pushes her chest further. She asks him if he knows the type of boys she likes and asks him if he can satisfy her a little bit. He also feels bad for what has happened to her. He says that if he had stroked at the death bird first, she wouldn't have gotten hurt at all. And if that is the case, then he has to pay her back by satisfying her. He touches her head, knowing so well that the power of the spirit fox's tribe comes from the happiness that is secreted from their brain. He knows all he needs to do is to get some nerve cells that are created from his perfect imitation, and then he can stimulate the brain to secrete more of it. As he touches her, she gets more satisfied and happy. He knows that the spirit fox tribe doesn't even need to eat or sleep. As long as there is an abundance of happiness in their brain, they can become even stronger. Just by touching her, her spirit is successfully healed and even leveled up by 2 just from the happiness. Yang Yuchong sees them touching each other. She gets angry and screams his name. She reminds them that it is too late and asks them what they are doing together there instead of sleeping. He tells her that he doesn't need any sleep. She is not angry because he isn't sleeping. Instead, she is angry that on a late night like that, he came out with the fox that she knows is perverted. She threatens that she won't forgive him for what he has done. He is angry that she isn't even giving him a chance to explain himself to her. He wonders why she is that mad at him. The following day, they follow Wang Ming to her house. When they get there, she shows them the home from afar. She tells them that, just as she has expected, the soldiers are still roaming around her house. Xin Sheng immediately asks the death bird to deal with the soldiers. He also tells Yang Yuchong that she should follow the death bird, and instead of obeying his commandment, she drags him. He tells her she has been like that since morning and asks her what she is doing. She claims she is trying to look after her master, and she doesn't want her master to get swindled. Xin Sheng uses his eye of wisdom to find out what is going on with her. He sees a sign on her brain, and he wonders what is wrong with her brain. He wonders if she is on her heat period. He leaves her alone and concentrates on the death bird. He sees that the death bird has already cleared all the soldiers, so he commands them to follow him and check the home out. Yang Yucheng keeps walking slowly. She screams and asks them to wait a little. When they get to the apartment, they see a strange building. They wonder what the construction is, and even for the Demon King, it is the first time he is seeing it. He, however, feels the construction has to be an exploration machine. It's too obvious that it is an exploration machine. He knows that a common man's crime is to carry a jade, and he realizes that was the reason they wanted Wang Ming's family dead. The other members of his group do not understand what he is. They ask him to explain better, and he says that he guesses that there is mineral under Wang Ming's home, and that is what the city is currently in need of. He uses his eyes to check deep into the group. He says that the leader of the city doesn't want Wang Ming and her family or any other person to know that good of a weapon is available there. Upon checking under the soil, he sees the mineral. Suddenly, an earthquake occurs, and the mineral troop out of the soil without any interruption. They see that the mineral is celestial bronze, and it is a kind of rare mineral that is able to minimize the size of heavy weaponry and make them safer to use. He touches it and realizes that the Gangi city is preparing for a war. He has seen several kinds of boring wars in his years of living, and one of the most hated facts about those boring wars is the concept of those mediocre people who underestimate the war. They spout that they want justice in their mouth, but in reality, it is just a game to rob the weak. After leaving the world for 1,000 years, his biggest regret was not being able to discipline the weaker ones and letting them think that they had the power to conquer. If that war is a result of his mistake of not disciplining the weaker ones, then he has to fix that mistake with his own hands. He stores all the minerals the city intends to use in his safe. His colleagues are shocked that he was able to store them all in and say all the minerals must weigh at least a few million tons. He tells them that they now have the advantage of negotiation, so they are going to make a trip to Gangi City and find out what the city lord is planning to do. On the other hand, at Gangi City, the city lord, Ducini, sits on her throne, and she recalls that the captain of her army, Zhang Bowen, went outside the city the day before to take the Wang's family land, but he hasn't come back till that day. She wonders if her madam knows what had happened to Zhang Bowen outside the city. The city lord's special advisor, Qi Zif, immediately sets out to use her divine magic to find out what has happened. As Ducini watches her do her work, she realizes that it is not enough that a city has enough technology, and they can rely on it. She claims having a person who has the power of the demon boundary is a must for any city. When Kizif uses her divine power, she sees Zhang Bowen lying dead in the bush. She wonders how that could have happened and who could have murdered Zhang Bowen. She announces to Ducini, who can't believe what she has heard. She is angry, and she doesn't expect that a person will have the audacity to kill the people of her city. Kizif knows what she has seen is just a spirit aberration, but to Ducini, it is no different from a dead person. She immediately finds out about the people that killed Zhang Bowen. She calls Ducini and tells her to come and see the culprits. She tells her that the murderers have arrived at the Gangi city. Ducini is angry. She calls them a bunch of unruly people and wonders why they have interrupted an important matter of hers. She immediately commands that her guards should street them. Kizif stops her. She reminds Ducini that she shouldn't forget that they need to keep the matter a secret, and causing that much trouble will reveal what they intend to hide. She says that even if Zhang Baoan has failed, their plans can still continue as normal. Ducini is concerned that the land belongs to the Wang family, and aside from the fact that the land contains the celestial bronze, which they found through Kizif divine magic, the land also has a road that they need to go through for their plan. She fears that if the city doesn't finish their opponent as fast as possible, then it may face some accidents during its plan. Kizif tells her it is also fine if they take the land later, but for the uninvited guests, they need to make them leave the city that day. Mrs. Li follows the team to Gangi's city. She had taken the entire trip as a date, and she doesn't even care about her land or anything on it. She says she couldn't expect that they will have a date so soon, and the fact that Xinsheng didn't allow Wang Ming to follow them means Xinsheng has something hot in the plan for her. Xinsheng tries to explain why he had made Wang Ming remain outside the city. He reminds her Wang Ming is a wanted criminal in that city, so he makes her stay at the guard house with Shuya Tu. However, Wu Li asks why Shuya Tu had to accompany Wang Ming and asks if Shuya Tu hasn't just recovered. She believes that they could have allowed Wang Ming to remain there with her mother, and that could have been the best option. Little do they know that Xinsheng has his own plan. He prays and hopes that when they reach the city lord's house, Li will go according to the plan they had made. Li tells him he doesn't have to worry, and that she wasn't joking when she said she was very good at acting. She tells him he is doing her family a favor and she won't flop the entire plan. She offers that they should all rest a little bit since it is the afternoon break. Young Yuchong doesn't think they need to rest. She reminds them that there are so many people around and something dangerous may happen, and she isn't wrong too. But Xin Sheng reassures her that with the death bird around them, any sign of hostility towards them can be dealt with without issues. They stop at a restaurant, and they see a technological device that asks them to have the menu on top of the table to order. Tea is free in that bar, so Lee is the first person who takes a cup. She is tired after her whole morning rushing, and she can really use a cup of tea to feel better. As Xin Sheng is about to drink the tea, he notices that there is something weird on the tea and says it seems there is someone in that city who doesn't welcome them. He finishes the drink and tells his colleagues that dinner is over and they should go. The others wonder why he is in such haste and reminds him that they haven't even eaten anything. He tells them important matters should come first, and they can all eat after they satisfy their heart content. He pushes Lee from the chair since she refuses to leave, but she takes it as if he is touching her bottom. He denies doing that to her. He doesn't understand how the people who had attacked them had found them. He says that even the death bird didn't feel any hostility against them, so he doesn't know the method they were caught with. He wonders if it is the power of technology, or it is the power from the demon boundary, or if they had used a certain hidden method to block the death bird detection. As they are about to walk into the city, someone calls out for the three ladies and the boy walking. It is obvious the person is referring to them, and the person asks them to stop walking. The man who has addressed them is the Gangyi City Troops commander, Bao Wu. He introduces himself to them and tells them that he has questions to ask them, and he hopes they can answer him truthfully. It turns out the boy is Zhang Baoan's young brother. He tells them that he heard from his madam, Kizif, that his brother was killed with sorcery by a boy who was accompanied by some ladies on a small mountain on the north border. Xin Sheng doesn't try to deny the accusation. He tells Bao Wu that he is right and he, in fact, got his information quite quick. Bao Wu gets angry at them. He asks where they had gotten the audacity to walk into the Gangyi city so boldly after killing their captain. He asks them if they think the soldiers are getting their meals for free and if they don't know their duties. Wu Li steps in. She advises Bao Wu that he is about to go against an opponent he can't defeat, so for his own favor, it's best he leaves quickly. Bao Wu tells her that she isn't wrong and their powers are not weak, but they have been poisoned. They recall that they had just drank tea, and they wonder if the tea was indeed poisoned. They all start feeling weak, and Bao Wu laughs at them. He says that Kizif is clever in her schemes, and after thanking them back to Kizif, he has to personally thank her. Xin Sheng smiles and asks him if it was that Madame Qi that poisoned their tea. He asks Bao Wu that after getting rid of him, he would like to meet the so-called Madame Qi. Xin Sheng brings out a substance, and Wu Li asks him if that is the tea they drank earlier on. She doesn't understand what is happening because they had indeed drunk all of the tea, so she doesn't know why the entire tea is in Xin Sheng's hand. Bao Wu doesn't understand the situation he is in. He still feels he has the upper hand in the fight, so he starts threatening them to obey him and surrender if they don't want to be responsible for their own casualties. Xin Sheng is disappointed that Bao Wu isn't even paying attention to what he has just revealed. He concludes that Bao Wu is certainly not one of the people involved in the entire scheme, and he is just a passerby who just happened to know about some of the issues. He remembers that Bao Wu had said he wanted to arrest them, which means Bao Wu doesn't know that the poison that was kept in the tea was actually lethal. He doesn't see any need for him to attack someone that weak by himself, so he tells his colleagues that they don't have to worry, and Bao Wu had only mentioned the poison so as to confuse them. He orders Wu Li to beat Bao Wu up. However, Yang Yuchong wants to be the one to dish out that punishment. She tells Wu Li that she should leave the boy for her. She summons her sword to fight him, and the strong-headed Bao Wu, who is so insensitive that he doesn't know what is happening in his environment, still keeps running at them and telling them that they are resisting him and he will kill them. He throws a hypnotic bomb at the team. Yang Yuchong immediately finds out it is a hypnotic bomb, so she advises her colleagues to be careful so they wouldn't breathe in the air from the bomb. Wu Li tells her it isn't necessary for her. She brings out her sword and cuts off the entire weight flow of the hypnotic bomb, making Bao Wu more surprised. He wonders how Wu Li could wield her sword to cut off the airflow like that and how she could still possess that amount of strength even after being poisoned. He tells them that the bomb is not an ordinary hypnotic bomb. He says he has taken the antibody medicine so he can survive inside that air, and he will ensure they won't run away. They realize that he has disappeared, but Yang Yuchong quickly figures that he must be using camouflage clothes specially made to go along with the smoke, so she advises her colleagues to be very careful. Bao Wu hears everything Yang Yuchong is saying. He comments that she is very knowledgeable and says she must be the leader of the group. He assumes that Yang Yuchong is the leader and says he must catch the leader first if he wants to defeat the team. He tries to attack Yang Yuchong, but Wooly wields her roaring dragon sword against him. She uses it to hit him, and he falls off immediately. He is amazed at that kind of strength. He says that the strength isn't a normal one, and Wooly must be at least level 70, and she must be at the savage rank. He refuses to give up, so he raises again to keep fighting. He tries to pull his last trump card, and he decides to put his all into it so he can win the fight. He sends more bombs at the team, and Wooly is also really ready for him. She prepares to cut off all his attacks and end him completely before it is too late. She blocks his attack using the hilt, and Bao Wu has no other thing to do. He falls to the ground and accepts that he has lost. Wooly goes to her master and tells him Bao Wu has lost the fight. She asks him what they should do to the stupid boy. Xin Sheng suggests that since Bao Wu had come there to cause them trouble, the best way to handle him is to let him face his demise. As Xin Sheng walks to meet Bao Wu, he feels a weird body movement. He wonders what he is feeling. He figures out what is wrong but wonders why the power of the mystery of life, which is in his body, surging up so suddenly. He realizes that there is something from the mystery of life that is getting into his head, and the substance getting into his head is interfering with his resolve. His subordinates see that he is not fine. Yang Yuchong asks him if he is okay. He tells them not to worry about him, and he faces Bao Wu. He addresses the boy and says the matter has gotten to a point where if he doesn't leave immediately, he will have no chance to escape anymore. However, Bao Wu refuses to accept defeat and leave. He reminds them that he is the commander of the Gangi City troop, and he has the responsibility to ensure the safety of his people. So if he leaves, who will ensure the safety of his people? He tells them he will fulfill his duties no matter what happens to him. He threatens that even if he dies during that fight, Madame Qi and even the city lord will definitely punish Xin Sheng. He sees that Xin Sheng is walking toward him, and he asks him if he isn't afraid of death because the way he is carelessly walking toward him, it must mean that he isn't afraid of death. Xin Sheng keeps walking to him. He tells Bao Wu that he doesn't have what it takes to kill him, and he will even be glad if Bao Wu can kill him. He touches Bao Wu's head, and the boy responds that he has killed at least 100 of evildoers who had come nearer to him, and he wouldn't even need a weapon to kill Xin Sheng with the distance between them. Although Bao Wu had said that statement with so much confidence, he feels a sense of absolute dominance coming out of Xin Sheng. He even finds it difficult to lift his hands, let alone land a single hit on Xin Sheng. He wonders if that is indeed the end of him and if he will die at the hand of a rascal. He closes his eyes in anticipation of death. He reassures himself that he didn't eat his words and doesn't have to worry about dying in a humiliating way. Xin Sheng comments that he is unbelievably good. He asks Bao Wu if he is the one that needs to obediently surrender. He bends down to surrender, and his subordinate does the same. He tells Bao Wu that he would like to know how their laws will be enforced fairly. He also asks him how he will handle criminals like them if they indeed surrender to him. Bao Wu knows he has been humiliated, so he doesn't know why Xin Sheng is still trying to console him. He tells Xin Sheng that he doesn't need him to console him. He tells them that they are criminals that Madame Qi is looking for, so if they are arrested, it is only natural that it is Madame Qi who will interrogate them. Xin Sheng really wants to meet Madame Qi, so he begs Bao Wu to lead the way and take them to Madame Qi. Before leaving, he tells Bao Wu that his brother is not dead yet and he is still on the mountain so he can go see for himself after the matter is resolved. He tells him that if their city corporate well, it is possible for them to get their brothers back home safely. Instead of taking the opinion as advice, Bao Wu takes it as a threat. He asks if Xin Sheng is threatening him, but Xin Sheng says no and says he is only inviting him to be a witness of the present king's personality. He wants Bao Wu to see for himself if their king is really worth it and if she deserves their bravery. Zif watches the entire issue. She calls Bao Wu an idiot rascal and complains that he failed to accomplish his mission. She concludes that it is time for her to report the issue to the city lord and ask him to handle the matter personally. Bao Wu arrives in the presence of his city's lord, Ducini, and he bows to her highness. Ducini remains in her seat, with Zif sitting beside her. She asks Bao Wu if there is any matter he wishes to report to her because, as he can see, she is very busy. He tells her that he noticed the northern suburbs are planning to sell their land in Gangi City, which is why he had come to report to her because these same people had initially shown interest in the piece of land. Ducini immediately asks Zif what she thinks about the development, and Zai suggests that Ducini can simply invite the person wishing to sell his land over. They can have a conversation about it. With that, they will naturally know the reason behind such sales. Kizif says that besides the conversation, it is also time for them to make full preparation for their plans. Kizif smiles sheepishly after saying that statement, and Bao Wu, who doesn't know what plan she means, kneels in his confused state. He brings Xin Sheng, Mrs. Li, Yang Yu Chong, and Wu Li to Ducini. Li immediately starts her acting plan. She overreacts and screams that she never thought a person like her could have the opportunity to meet the city lord herself. She feels nervous that she may mess things up, but Xin Sheng holds her and reassures her that even if she messes things up, he is there to clean up every mess for her. She smiles at him and tells him that when they finish the meeting, they should return to their hometown and hold their marriage there. He tries to calm her down because he is really not ready for marriage. Eventually, Ducini appears to speak with them. She tells them that she heard someone is selling a price of land that she is interested in, and she wonders if she is qualified enough to participate in the matter. Li bows to her and appreciates her for inviting them. She claims it's a pleasure to meet Ducini. Seeing the group, Kizif sees that Shuya too isn't with them. Li introduces herself as Li Shi from the Wang clan and says that her late husband passed away a long time ago, and the only daughter she had also died tragically in a battle. She claims she is nothing but a lone soul who is finding it difficult to make decisions. Fortunately, her husband's family sent her a person to represent her in making her decisions. Kizif asks her if the young boy, Xin Sheng, is the representative to make the decisions. Ducini asks Xin Sheng how much he wishes to sell the land for, and Xin Sheng uses his hands to describe two. Ducini assumes he means 200,000 yuan. And considering the worth of the land, she describes the land as a desert or wasteland on the border. She claims the price he had called is quite suitable. However, Xin Sheng says she might have misunderstood what he means. She asks him if he means 2 million yuan. She refuses to pay such a ridiculous price and argues that unless the land has created a marketplace, there is no way it could be worth that price. However, Kizif interferes with the matter. She claims that if her guess is right, she is sure Xin Sheng is asking for 200 million yuan. Ducini screams. Kizif ridiculously assumes the knowledge of the celestial bronze is limited to just them. She asks Xin Sheng if he thinks the underground of the land has been excavated into the celestial bronze, and asks what point Xin Sheng got to that made him assume that ridiculous land can be worth that price. Seeing her authoritative nature, Xin Sheng asks her if she is Madame Qi. He says it's no wonder she is good enough to predict his offering price, and she really has the power of divination. However, he says it's too bad that she missed his exact price, which isn't 200 million yuan. Instead, his offering price is 20 billion yuan. He knows that the price he has called is clearly not the price for the hand and not the land's commercial value and not even the price of the mineral resources under the land. What he wants them to pay for is for all the military expenses for the war they plan to launch. Ducini gets angry. She yells at him, asking him where a lowlife like him got the audacity to act that impudent in her residence. She sets out to attack him, claiming that his audacity makes her wonder how good he can be. He looks at her and figures she is a humanized dwarf from the dwarf tribe. He knows that the dwarf tribe possesses incredible strength, and they are second to none regarding stamina. Other than that, their stubbornness is well known. Once they have made a decision, nothing can change their mind. She screams at him, telling him that he should know she is not someone he should mess with, but he did that regardless, so he shouldn't blame her for what he gets in return. She jumps to attack him, and seeing the weight of her power, he admits that her strength is incredible, and that kind of power is definitely not lower than his power. He asks her if she is in the high savage rank. He checks her power and skill, and he sees that she is at level 81 and she is in the high savage rank. He tells Wu Li that Ducini is stronger than her, and he asks her if she can survive holding up under Ducini's pressure for about 5 minutes. Wu Li says she can hold her up not only for 5 minutes, but she can even defeat her. Wu Li goes to fight, and while anticipating the duel, Kizif asks herself what could be their purpose for coming into the city at that time. She feels the entire timing is weird. She claims the way they are having an unplanned provocation shows that they are just wasting their time there. She figures the exact reason they are there to waste their time is that, at the very moment, the secret armory of Gangyi City might be in danger. She immediately asks Bao Wu if he has completed his examination. Bao Wu tells her there is one more of weapon left. Bao Wu goes to the armory, and he meets the guard. He tells him that the city lord must use the weapons whenever necessary, and any small mistake won't be tolerated, so she is there to check again. The guard tells him that he should be calm, and the equipment there is always checked daily by Kizif because she is responsible for practicing divination and defending the armory. The maintenance status of the equipment is enough for them to be put into battle at any time. Bao Wu encourages the guard to continue their good job. It turns out it is Xin Sheng who had imitated Bao Wu. He changes to his normal form and prepares to raid. On the other hand, Kizif gets angry at Wu Li for laying her hands on her city lord. She calls the guards to join the fight and tells them to kill Wu Li while an imitation of Xin Sheng sits on the chair. The people target Li and try to kill her, so Xin Sheng holds Wu Li to protect her. He comments that the warriors are choosing the person with the less defense to kill, and he has not found anyone using that underhanded method against him before. He drags Li to hide, and he absorbs Li into his body. Everyone there is shocked. He had just swallowed a whole person. Even Kizif is amazed by the kind of ability, and she wonders why she can't identify it. He looks at them and sees how they are confident in the weight and speed of their bullets to kill everyone. He says they must really trust the toys they call weapons. He believes a real weapon should be simple and efficient, for example, the bullet and resonance in the room. He holds all the bullets and commands them to explode. The soldiers can't believe their eyes. They see all their bullets exploding in their presence. It's a magic skill that is higher than anyone has ever experienced. He claims it is only if that principle is used to develop weapons that can be called weapons. He claims the ones they are using are just toys, and they don't have to call them weapons. He feels like the world without a king like him is progressing at a very slow rate, and they barely have any significant change. On the other hand, Ducini keeps trying to attack Wu Li. She figures that since she is from the dragon tribe, she can't attack her relying on just strength. Even Wu Li is overwhelmed. Her hands are trembling, and she admits that it has been a while since she came across a formidable opponent like Ducini. Ducini addresses her and says she is qualified to see her power, but she should be careful because she might get crushed by her. She activates her heavenly iron will and commands Wu Li to step back. Just as she has commanded, Wu Li steps back. Wu Li feels like there is a kind of force that is pulling her back. She doesn't know what is happening, and Ducini explains to her that it is a weapon named Duojin, and she has obtained it, and its power after making a contract with the demon boundary. After activating the heavenly iron will, the total weight of her and her weapon, which is about 2.4 tons, will surely be heavier than any other person. As long as it's heavier, she can control the person. She laughs at Wu Li and tells her all the metal elements within Wu Li's body are under her control. She commands Wu Li to crawl under her, and Wu Li starts crawling. Wu Li hopes there will be a way to break through from the heavenly iron will and says that ordinary tricks don't seem to work against Ducini. To defeat Ducini, she has no other choice but to activate her hidden technique. Meanwhile, Xin Sheng tells Kizif that they are there to negotiate and fighting isn't initially the purpose of their visit. He claims that if he intended to lay his hands on them from the beginning, he could have asked the Death Bird to deal with them, and if he did that, their resident would be a mess already. He tells Wu Li that she can back off already and that he will take care of the rest. Wu Li obeys her master and returns to her seat. Ducini assumes that Xin Sheng has already found out that the power of the heavenly iron will is impenetrable, and he knows he will lose, which is why he is trying to negotiate. However, even if that is true, when she activated the power, he should have been affected by the power. She had every creature under her control except him, and she doesn't know why he wasn't accepted. She refuses to give up on the fight and plans that since Wu Li is now behind him, she has to exert her strength on him. She activates her iron will and asks him to do as she wishes, but to her shock, he dodges it completely. She wonders how he had managed to do that. She wonders if he is heavier than him, but she cancels that thought because there is no way that little boy can have more than 2.4 tons of metal element within his small body. Under her rule, she believes no metal can go against her power. She commands him to go to hell and threatens to drive every single metal within his body and let him live the worst life he can imagine. However, he isn't affected again. He tells her that forces always occur in pairs, and he asks her how much percentage of the city's income are the 20 billion yuan that she stacked for the war. She refuses to answer, and claims she is the king and how she spends her city's money isn't his concern. He slaps her. He looks at Bao Wu, who is shocked about that amount. He says it's obvious from Bao Wu's expression that the budget is an unreasonable amount. Xin Sheng has seen that kind of city before, and he knows that once the city falls into a state of war, it will surely fail, so slapping her is nothing compared to what the city will go through. She tries to free herself from him but sees he is so strong. She calls Bao Wu and Kizif to help her, but Bao Wu tells her Kizif has left already, and all that is there is her clone. As for him, he is angry that the military expenditure that is equivalent to 2 years of their city's income is being used to plan a war. He asks her if what he has heard is true and how come, as the commander of the troop, he had no idea about it. He says if what Xin Sheng is saying is true, then hitting her is a light punishment, so he should keep hitting her. Du Xini refuses to confess, so Xin Sheng decides to summon Qi Zif back so she can confess the conspiracy behind the issue. And that's how the first part of this manhwa ends. Well guys, if you like this video and you want a second part, comment below with the word part 2. Also subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell and like the video. But most important, leave a comment. Until the next video.